Welcome to this explainer. If you use Git every day, you probably think you know exactly how it works. But today, we're going to completely shatter how you currently view Git. We're going to pop open the hood, look at the actual engine, and I promise you, by the end of this, every single Git disaster you've ever faced is going to stop feeling random forever. Get ready to upgrade your mental model. Right out of the gate, here is the big secret. Git is not actually a version control system. Not fundamentally anyway. It's really a content-addressable database completely disguised as one. It's literally just a simple key-value data store hidden inside your project folder. Everything else, your branches, your merges, the whole project history, is basically just an illusion built on top of some incredibly clever cryptographic hashes. Okay, let's dive into this. Most developers operate on this old mental model where Git stores file diffs. You think it saves a base file and then just records the lines you add or remove over time. Well, that is completely wrong. The new reality you need to adopt today is that Git stores full compressed snapshots of your entire project every single time you commit. Section 1. The foundation. The 4 core objects. So, to understand how Git accomplishes these full snapshots without totally maxing out your hard drive, we have to look inside the hidden .git/objects folder. And honestly, it relies entirely on just 4 objects: blob, tree, commit, and tag. That's it. The underlying architecture is surprisingly simple. Every single piece of your project's history is built from just these 4 building blocks. Let's break them down, because this is where the magic really happens. First up, the blob. A blob stands for binary large object, and it stores your raw file data. But here is the absolutely crucial detail. It only stores the bytes of the file, nothing else. No file name, no folder metadata, just the pure content. Git hashes that content using SHA-1, and that 40-character hash becomes the blob's permanent name. And because the hash is based only on the content, if you have 2 files with identical text, Git automatically deduplicates them and stores only one blob. This is the trick to why Git feels so lightweight. Unchanged files simply reuse existing blobs. Now, if the blob doesn't know its own file name, where exactly does that live? Well, that lives in the tree. A tree is essentially a directory snapshot, providing the structural glue. Think of it like a manifest. It maps file names, file permissions, and directory structures straight to their underlying blobs, or even to other subtrees. So blobs store the content, but trees store the structure. And that clean separation is exactly why renaming files in Git is incredibly cheap. Next up is the commit. And listen, a commit is basically just a full snapshot plus some metadata. It is definitively not a diff. It contains a pointer to a single root tree, which represents your entire project structure at that exact moment, along with metadata like parent commits, the author, the timestamp, and your commit message. When you run a command like git show and see a diff, Git is literally just doing the math on the fly by comparing the current commits tree to its parent's tree. So let's put all of this into motion. What mechanically happens under the hood the exact moment you type git add? Git instantly reads your file content, calculates its SHA-1 hash, compresses it using zlib, and stores it directly in the database as a blob. The very second you stage a file, it's already safely stored in Git's key-value database as an immutable object. Moving on to Section 2, pointers, branches, and head. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we actually navigate this immutable database. This brings us to a massive common mistake, thinking branches are copies. A branch is literally just a tiny text file. Seriously, if you open the file located at .git/refs/heads/main, all you're going to see is a single 40-character SHA-1 hash pointing to a commit object. That's why creating a branch in Git is instantaneous and costs basically nothing. You're just writing 40 characters to a text file. And what about head? This leads to another huge panic point, the dreaded detached head state. But look, a detached head just means your head pointer is pointing directly to a commit hash instead of a branch name. It is not an error. It just means you aren't attached to a branch right now, making it the absolute perfect safe state for experimenting, debugging old code, or just poking around without messing up your main history. Section 3, the safety net, relog and recovery. Okay, let's talk about panic. You just ran a disastrous hard reset, and you think your code is totally gone. It's a common mistake, assuming commits are permanently deleted. But think about it. Where do deleted commits actually go in an append-only database? We just learned commits are immutable objects, and branches are just tiny text pointers. So when you delete a branch, you only deleted the pointer. The actual commit object is still sitting right there in the database. You just lost the map to find it. Enter your new best friend, Git reflog. The reflog is literally a local time machine. It tracks every single movement of your head pointer over the last 90 days. Checked out a branch, it's in the reflog. Did a terrible reset? It's right there in the reflog. To get your lost work back, you simply run git reflog, find the hash of where you used to be, and run git checkout with that hash. Simple pointer manipulation. Git rarely deletes anything immediately. Section 4. The magic trick. Packfiles. Now, you might be wondering, if Git is storing a full snapshot of the project on every single commit, and your project has thousands of commits, why isn't your Git folder taking up terabytes of space? How could this snapshot model possibly be space efficient? And this brilliantly illustrates the background magic of Git. Git handles snapshots logically, but it stores differences physically. Over time, Git runs a background cleanup process called git-gc, or garbage collection. It takes all those loose individual snapshot objects and compresses them into what are called packfiles. Inside a packfile, Git uses delta compression. It finds similar files and stores the most recent version fully intact, but it stores older versions simply as the differences, or deltas, from the new one. So you get the logical safety of full snapshots combined with the physical storage efficiency of diffs. Finally, Section 5, the paradigm shift complete. Let's bring this whole shebang together. Git is simply hashes and immutable objects. It organizes files through trees, captures full snapshots inside commits, and navigates them all using lightweight text pointers called branches. And because of this brilliant architecture, we get incredibly reliable three-way merges. Git just finds the common ancestor, compares the changes in branch A and branch B, and merges them automatically. Conflicts only happen if you both changed the exact same lines differently. Understand this model once, and I guarantee you every Git command starts making sense and stops feeling random. It really is that elegant. So I will leave you with this final thought. Now that you know Git, which is arguably one of the most notoriously intimidating tools out there, is really just a simple database of hashes and pointers, what other scary black boxes in your daily workflow are actually this simple under the hood? Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.